Real music, real interviews, real information. That's why we call it Real Gospel with the X-Man.
X-Man, here's Jules Juda with Revival.
The one word I kept hearing over and over again is revival. Malik.
Yeah. With Tasha. Y'all ready? It's your boy, Juda. 1, 2, 3, 4.
This year was great. Been through hell and back, learned to appreciate. Really dark night makes the morning great. Yeah. So unto freedom. It's gonna be a fire feeder. Really need you. Come on, people.
Uneducated will be no longer. In the pandemic, we done met the Father. So it's a freedom. It's gonna be a fire feeder. Really need a come on, people. We need a We need a.
Try to politics, no more lazy days, 'cause I won't quit, not another minute, spent where I don't fit, I'ma just talk to God and my therapist, because I need Tell your neighbor,
Real Gospel is the place where God gets the glory and artists tell their stories. I'm honored to have finally on the show Jules Juda. Yes. How are you,
yes, sir?
I'm confused. Jules Juda Bartholomew. What should I call you? Just Jules? What? JJ?
Just
what?
call me
JJB?
Jules Juda. Jules Juda is fine. Jules. You can call me Judah. Bartholomew is a little complicated.
Yeah,
but,
it can be. It can be. Yeah. I've had you on the program, I think maybe about a year or so ago, but it was to discuss another song. But it's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So I am really feeling your latest song, Revival, which features Leek, Spence, and Tasha, and also the name that we see streaming across the photo, which is Sarah Jakes-Roberts. And so, man, break this down for us.
Well, man, I've been, as you may or may not know, I've been a songwriter in the industry for several years now, and my mandate as a minstrel is very sensitive to the times, So like every other independent artist, I pretty much, I'm always putting something in the queue to release. And I promise you that I had about 3 other songs on deck, and just as time progressed, God would give me a new download, and this was one of those downloads. This came at the time when, of course, we're still in the pandemic, but this came at a time in the pandemic when we were starting to come outside. People were starting to find their way. Of course, racial tension was still prevalent, but however, we were seeing some victories, and it looks like it's going to be a revival. Was the thematic, was the theme that came to my mind at the time. The melody, the song, and it just came together. And at the time, I was continually in conversation with different artists. One being Tasha Page, another one being Jermaine Dolly, and who was originally on the song. And I just went to my team. I know we have another song in queue, but I feel like the Lord is saying this is going to be indicative of the message for right now. So here we are.
Yes, here we are. And I'm glad we are. You brought up a name by the name of Jermaine Dolly, and I just have to let the listeners know that the intro that came on before your song that introduced, before I introduced you, that Jermaine Dolly actually did my intro for this show, for the second hour of my program. And so shouts out to Jermaine Dolly. Have you spoken to him lately? How's he doing?
He's doing pretty good. I spoke, the last time I spoke to him, excuse me, we were at the funeral at Paris Bowen's funeral.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. Yes.
Yeah, that was the last time me and him actually spoke.
Gotcha.
But every now and then, we'll shout each other out.
Yeah. Well, Revival, I think that it is a timely song. Although, like you just said, we're not out of the pandemic, but we're still trying to we're not where we were before, but we're still not where we need to be. But nonetheless, the people of God, it is revival time. We've been in the house for most of us for past of a year. Some of us in and out. Some people have been able to sort of make do with the best way they can in terms of service. Service has been online. So the people of God are just regular people. Sometimes, I know revival is for the saints, but every now and then you get some people who show up who didn't know Christ, and before they leave, they know who He is then. So you're right on time, sir. You really are.
Yeah. I mean, I take no credit. That's why I can agree with you 100%. When I hear God, it's sometimes that I'm the slow one, but when I hear God, I try to move. I try to move when I hear Him. There's been occasions when I've heard Him and I've moved too slow, and then the season has passed. But, even in the midst of this song, you will find that I'm even referring to the way we do church.
Yes.
It's been revived. It's been changed, and the flip side to the whole thing is those that have sat through the whole pandemic and then tried to squeeze the old church back into the system and are experiencing issues, it's because they haven't realized that God has eliminated so many things that we've dealt with in the church system that were unnecessary or that were, catering to man and wasn't catering to his agenda. With this pandemic, we were able to see everything stripped away, and it's simply just, how do we find God? Some of us found more God in this pandemic than when we were sitting in services for 4 hours. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that it's not great that we've lost so many people, but I'm grateful that there is a lesson to be learned in this season.
Amen. You're one of the first, I guess, artists that I've spoken with that will even admit that God has, I call it a shift. That's what I call it. I mean, hey, I just say there's a shift that's taking place. And so there are some people who are still where we were before in terms of their view of ministry and church. And there's some people whom have shifted with God. And so they've combined maybe, some in-person services and online services and how they do outreach to reach people where they are now during this pandemic, especially now that it seems like since the first beginning of the pandemic, when the country was beginning to shut down, that I looked online and it seemed like everybody became a preacher. I was like, where? There was a church popping up everywhere, and I'm like, okay. So what are your thoughts on that? I just think, so I'm not saying that anything was wrong or right towards it. I'm just saying I looked up and boom, and so okay.
I am torn. It's almost like I'm torn 100% in both ways. Yeah. So on one side, for me, anything that resembles what's been done, I believe for the most part is not God-led. The thing about my relationship with the Master, with the Father, is that he always seems to bless whatever is fresh, whatever is new, whatever is energetic, whatever is thoughtful, and anytime that I'm able to bring something to the table, when you think of Cain and Abel, the reason why God favored one over the other is not because of the sacrifice, but the intent behind it. Mm-hmm. And I believe when we take our intentions and we seek within ourselves and are able to bring to the table something that is fresh to offer to him, I think that's when we have the experiences that we're seeing with Maverick City and some of the other the Kanye and the samples and some of the other things that have kind of came from the back door and surprised the industry, but it's so fresh and it's so compelling that the hand of the Lord is obvious on some people and some things, because it really has been a revival. In regards to the ministries that are popping up, if it's not fresh, if it's not new, then you'll see the result. You see, and I'm not saying that everything has to be all supermodel and tattooed and motorcycle jackets to reach the people, but I am saying that God is doing a new thing and it's a new season. So if you're popping up with a fresh collar, and a fresh ministry in this time, we be very careful, because God is speaking and you got to hear him distinctively on what he's saying for you to do in this time. There are a lot of copycats outside.
That's
And,
the truth.
yeah.
That is true. So, how do you know Sarah Jakes-Roberts? That's Bishop T.D. Jakes' daughter, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah.
And I know Jamar, which is the brother. I don't really know Sarah personally, but I was, of course, in the pandemic looking at Jakes became one of my pastors during the pandemic, and she was preaching a message that went perfectly with this song, and it was about revival. When you are a songwriter that's connected to the voice and the heart of God, you will find yourself in thematic moments where everything would kind of come to alignment. And this message aligned with the song that God allowed me to write. And I reached out, and she listened to it, she loved it, and she gave us her grace. And I included the message in the song. So that's how this whole thing happened.
Amen to that. What about Tasha and Tasha Page and also Leek Spence?
Leek Spence. Well, Tasha she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, because y'all been tight for a while.
Yeah. And and even though we're tight, I try to leave my artist friends, let them be artists and separate our friendship and the artist thing. But when I heard this song, man, I was like, I called a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and I played it, and I'm like, what you guys think? And there were other artists that were on the song that in and out, things happen, but the response to the song and the track was so positive that we got it going, and I'm grateful to her, for obliging, I'm saying. I think, in my opinion, one of the best vocalists in gospel, especially female, and what she brought to the song, man. Ooh.
Yeah.
She
delivers. She knows how to hit it right on the head. She's and please, y'all, please, listeners, please, it's just an analogy, all right, what I'm about to say. She is, in my opinion, what she is to gospel music, what Mary J. Blige is to hip hop soul. She knows how to put that on it and make you feel it. So that's all. I think they get that analogy. I hope they do. So yeah. Yeah, she can hit.
That wasn't that bad. So
I'm picturing the Zoom call when you're playing the music. Hey, y'all, check this out, and they go, "Oh man, what you gonna do with that? Oh, let me get that. No, this ain't for y'all. This in my vault." I can just picture that conversation going down on Zoom right there.
Oh man, do you understand how many times that happens to me?
Every time you Zoom, right? Hey man, check this out. Oh, you gotta let me have that. Wait, man, how you do that, man? Hey.
Yeah, man. I had the single that I was going to release was a song called "My Attention," and when the pandemic first started, my health was failing. And, I was eating improperly because I was stuck in LA. So I was eating a lot of Uber Eats and stuff, and my blood pressure went up.
Wow.
And my nose bled for 2 days straight.
Oh, wow.
And God just got my attention in that season, and in fact, the way my nose stopped bleeding was my brothers threatened to send an ambulance to my hotel if I don't go to the hospital. But I didn't want to go to the hospital because of COVID. So I got ready to go to the hospital because I was being threatened. But as I was in the shower getting ready, I just started praying, and I hit a frequency. a frequency in prayer that I've never hit before. And I ended up taking a shower for about an hour and a half. And
wow.
When I got out the shower, my nose stopped bleeding. And I wrote a song called Attention. You know, despite what's going on, you have my attention. And I'm here to do whatever you need of me. I'm honored that you even believe in me. I'm here. You have my attention. And I played it for my friend Charles Jenkins, and he took it.
Pastor Charles Jenkins, right from Chicago. Yeah.
Yes. I played it for him to come because, you know, one thing about me, I'm not really a singer or a performer like that. So I'm always gonna have a feature somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, so I called him with his popping self to get up on this song, and he's like, "Man, give me this song." I'm like, "Oh boy." Yeah. So like that happens to me all the time.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Hey, listen, we're almost out of time, and it's always a pleasure and an honor to have you on the program. Just a rare opportunity because you're a hard guy to catch. You're always hardworking. You're behind the scenes, and so I just wanted to make sure we put a little light on you to let you know how much you are appreciated and you're a jewel in this business. How can the listeners get more information about you and this new music and just reach you? Period.
Well, I'm everywhere. Social media. Jules Juda, Jules Juda. On Facebook, I'm Jules Bartholomew and the Juda Camp. I'm still Juda Camp on Facebook.
All right, there it is.
Reach out to me. If you want my phone number, just DM me, and I'm still not going to give you my phone number, but
yeah, you might not want to do that on national radio. Yeah. So the one and only Jules Juda, and if you're confused about that, put the camp on the back and you'll find him. Thank you, as always, man. Thank you so much for joining us on Real Gospel.
Thank you for having me, sir.
You're listening to Real Gospel with the X-Men, and the Real Flashback Song of the Hour is on the way.
Do you have an idea for a book, fiction, nonfiction, or a children's book? We can help you put it together and bring it to market at Dorrance Publishing. We have thousands of testimonials from people just like you that we've helped get their books sold in stores and online. We've even got a service called The Writer's Coach. It's perfect for people that have a book idea in their head and they just need someone to help them put it on paper. Dorrance Book Publishing has been helping people just like you who have a book idea, written or not, for over 100 years. Imagine being counted among the most famous authors in the world with your very own book. Call right now and let us help you turn a book idea into reality. It's easier than you think. You just need a little help. Call us now.
800-413-4861. 800-413-4861. 800-413-4861. That's 800-413-4861.